Hello guys, welcome back to another reading vlog.
Why is there a carrot in your purse? And I'm like,
I have had that delusion before.
what? I was crying at some point, I don't know why. I'm already giddy after reading that. He was making me blush a lot.
This week I decided to do like a more simpler video because I feel like my past videos have been like challenges. I just wanted to mood read this week / like how much I realistically read as a full-time nurse, and it's been quite challenging to navigate time and like putting in time for reading, putting in time for editing, and just like keeping up with this channel while I am working full-time. So I feel like that's gonna be an interesting way to see how much I realistically read in 1 week. And today's Monday, so we'll do it Monday to Sunday. And right now I'm kind of in the mood to read like a rom-com just because I've been reading lots of fantasy recently. If you saw the last video updated, I was rereading the Twilight series, and at the end of that I was just like, oh my god, what is going on with me? I feel like I just did a full 180 and started switching teams from Team Edward to like Team Jacob, and I've been Team Edward my whole life. So yeah, just decided to take a break and step back and read other books and then go back into that series once again with a clear head, because I feel like maybe it's just stuff going on in my life or something. I don't know. Anyways, let's go to my TBR cart and choose a romance because I have a lot of them and it's kind of hard to choose, so we'll choose together. This is the romance section on my TBR cart, and there's like one book that's kind of standing out to me right now just because I've gotten a lot of comments to read it because they said it was really good. But then there's also one book that's not on this cart that I'm wanting to read. I'm gonna get it 1 second. That book is Hello Stranger by Catherine Center. I heard so much about Catherine Center and how people love her writing. I kind of feel like reading this or the second book in the Knock 'Em Out series. They're both blue and my outfit is all blue. So I don't know, I'm kind of leaning towards this one, so I think this is what we're gonna start with and maybe read this later on in the vlog if I'm still feeling it. Okay, so the first book we're gonna read in this video is Hello Stranger by Catherine Center. I don't know anything about this book. All I know is that our female main character has facial blindness, and I think she paints portraits of people. I'm not sure, but that's all I know. So I'm gonna get to reading and tell you guys more about it once I'm a little bit into this book. Hello guys, it's time for a book update. It's like an hour-ish later and I got to page 51 chapter 5, and I feel like I have like the main gist of the story. So this book starts off with our female main character named Sadie Montgomery winning a place in a competition, a portrait painting competition, and apparently it's like a prestigious competition because she made top 10 out of like 2,000 people, so it's a big deal, and the winning price is $10,000. She needs that badly because she is broke. She doesn't really get much support from her family, specifically her father, because he wanted her to go to med school and become a doctor like him, but got disappointed when she said she wanted to be an artist like her late mother. And after that he's like, I'm not gonna support you, you're on your own because you're not doing what I want you to do. So that kind of sucks. They don't really have a good relationship. So when she got the good news, she told her best friend, and her best friend decided to throw her like a party. And while she was going to get stuff for a party like wine, she ends up meeting this guy, and this guy ends up paying for her stuff because she forgot her wallet. I haven't seen that stranger or guy back in the story ever since that like little meet cute they had at the grocery store, but I have a big feeling that he's gonna come back in the story to be like the love interest. I feel like he's the guy in the cover, but while she was walking home to go attend her party. She ends up having like a seizure. She ends up being in the hospital, and first face she sees is her stepmother, and she's not really fond of her. She's like that evil stepmother, and she has an evil stepsister too. After that, she finds out that she needs to get brain surgery because she had something like a congenital thing. She's had it all her life, but it's just like acted up now. So after she gets the surgery, that's when she realizes one major complication she had, and that was the facial blindness. That's really hard because she's a portrait artist. She paints people's faces for a living, and she has this big competition coming up. So I'm interested to see how she deals with that. So I'm just gonna keep reading and find out what happens. Hello guys, it's the next day and I got this far into the book. I feel like I could have finished this book in one sitting because it is a very short book, but I was just so distracted yesterday that I couldn't sit still. So I read 136 pages, and then right now I'm on chapter 20, page 197, and this book is so good. I love it. It's very fast paced, like it's not a slow burn romance. She kind of indulges in some romance to kind of take her mind away from the whole facial blindness thing because it still hasn't gotten better. I cannot imagine looking in the mirror and not recognizing my own face. I feel like that would be a nightmare for me. But she meets this guy, and he's Peanut, her dog's vet. So there's like multiple times where she does this, but the first time they met, or the first time she saw him, she basically plans their whole wedding, their honeymoon, and like how their Christmas cards would be like. And it's just so funny because that's like such a girl thing that we all have done. On page 102, once I'd given in, I planned our wedding the whole way home. We had an appointment for simultaneous coffee now, and somehow not calling it a date made it feel even more like a date. Did that mean we were dating? Pretty damn close, right? And of course, once you start dating someone, you inevitably got married, so we're essentially engaged. It's just so funny her having that delusion because I have had that delusion before. But then there's this one other guy in her building that she absolutely despises because of a bad first impression, but then they start hanging out. So she essentially falls in love with two different men. But I have like an assumption or a prediction about these two men, and I'm hoping that I'm right because there's some signs that I'm like paying attention to. Anyways, I'm loving this book. Anyways, do you notice something different about me? Before we get back into the reading vlog, I'd like to thank MSBLUE for reaching out to me and sending me a few of their jewelry pieces. If you don't know what MSBLUE is a jewelry brand where beauty meets purpose. Each piece is thoughtfully crafted to celebrate love, empowerment, and meaningful moments. At the heart of MSBLUE is a commitment to environmental sustainability through their Blue Promise and water positive practices. The brand ensures that every creation leaves a positive impact on the planet. Every piece is 100% handmade by skilled artisans with options for personalized customization, making each design truly unique and tailored to the individual. MSBLUE offers high-quality lab-grown diamonds, elegant and timeless alternatives to natural diamonds, providing the same brilliance at an accessible price point. More than just jewelry, MSBLUE's collections are inspired by themes such as empowering women, self-care, and self-love, and we all need that, reminding every wearer to feel good and confident and radiant in their own skin. MSBLUE actually let me pick two pieces from their website. Thank you so much to Helen, who I was communicating with, and they sent it to me hassle-free. It was so easy. And they also sent me this little bag. It's so cute. I'm actually wearing the two pieces they sent me. The first one are these gorgeous earrings. Can you see them? And it's just very like simple, elegant, timeless. I feel like I could dress this up or down. Right now I'm wearing a sweatsuit and it looks so pretty, and it just like ties my outfit all together. And the second piece they sent me is my favorite because I've been obsessed with bracelets recently, and it's this tennis bracelet. I don't know if you can see, if my camera will focus, but it's just this gorgeous tennis bracelet with a hint of green, and I've been loving green in jewelry, and it matches my favorite ring. It's just so pretty and simple, and I feel like it'd go with so many outfits that I wear, and it's a nice everyday bracelet. If you want to shop MSBLUE's collection, don't forget to use my code Shelly15 for 15% off. I'll also have the link down below, so you could just click it and I'll take you right to the website. Now let's get back into the reading vlog. chemistry between our female main character Sadie and one of the guys that she's in love with right now. It's kind of like enemies to lovers. I love it.
Been sitting at the same spot for the last 2 hours because I'm almost done this book. And everything I predicted came true. I was crying at some point. I don't know why. This is just so good.
I did finish Hello Stranger yesterday, and I knew before it even ended that it was gonna be a 5 stars. It just made me feel a certain way, and that's the feeling I've been chasing from all the books that I read. And this one was so good. I loved that the romance was kind of a subplot. This to me was kind of more literary fiction with a subplot of romance, and the romance sprinkled in there was just like so perfect. It was mostly her navigating her life after the whole incident of the facial blindness, and being a portrait artist, obviously that's super hard because you draw faces for a living. So like she found ways to kind of help her, new techniques, and reading into research and articles that people have published about facial blindness and artists, and that was so interesting to see. There's one main theme that I found that kept getting brought up over and over again, and that's grief, because her mother did pass away and she's like grieving what a mother can give to their child, and you know, all those warm feelings of a mother being there, having their shoulder to cry on, and also grieving her father. Her father has not been present in her life because he has another family now, and kind of grieving that fatherly figure that she's lost early on in her life, because I feel like she detached from him and his new family a long time ago. And then I read the author's note, and it was amazing. Like the way Catherine Center describes romance books was just like, oh my god, yeah, this is exactly what I'm feeling. And you know how they say in romance books it's predictable but in a good way? That's how I felt in this book, but then she changed my mindset. It says, they'll say it was predictable in a good way. I see what they're going for, but I'm not sure it needs pointing out that over the course of a love story, people fell in love. I mean, of course they did. I don't think it's possible to write a love story where the leads get together at the end and it's a surprise. And even if it were, why would you want to? The anticipation, the blissful, delicious, oxytocin laden, yearning infused, building sense of anticipation is the point. It's the cocktail of emotions we all came there to feel. I propose we stop using the hopelessly negative word predictable to talk about love stories and start using anticipation, as in the love story really created a fantastic feeling of anticipation. And I'm like, oh my god, that's such a better way to describe it. Like I said, the romance in here was like sprinkled on, and I'm just like anticipating for the love story to build and build and build until we get a happy ending. Like that's what I'm looking for. That's what's keeping me reading the book. That's what's keeping me hooked. And she describes that perfectly. And it says, love stories create hope and then use it as fuel. Two people meet, and then over the course of 300 pages, they move alone to together, from close to open, from judgy to understanding, from cruel to compassionate, from needy to fulfilled, from ignored to be seen, from misunderstood to appreciated, from lost to found predictably. That's not a mistake. That's a guarantee of the genre. Things will get better, and you, the reader, get to be there for it. It's a gift the love story gives you. And that's so true. That's why I love romance. Catherine Center, I'm gonna be buying all your books because this was so great, and I can't believe that it's been sitting on my shelf for so long. And since I read that book and how Catherine Center made me have like a new perspective on like romance and love stories, I decided to pick up another romance book because that's what I'm feeling. This is a mood reading vlog, and I just want to be in that blissful hopeful and just like giddy feeling, keep that going throughout the week. So I picked up Heartless by Elsie Silver. I've gotten so many comments to read this next, and if you don't know, this is the second book in the Chestnut Spring series. And if you don't know what the series is about, it's basically about brothers and their love interest, and it's technically like a cowboy small town romance, and I love small town romance. This one is about the oldest brother named Cade, and he is looking for a nanny for his young kid who's 5 years old, I think, for the summer because he's busy running the ranch by himself. And that's when he meets Willa, who is Summer's best friend from the first book. Apparently it's like an age gap romance. He's a little bit older and she's younger. It says, working as a nanny for the world's most grumpiest single dad should be simple, except she can't keep his eyes off of him and he can't keep his hands off of her. I'm already giddy after reading that. Yeah, it's a Grumpy Sunshine and I'm so excited. I already started. I read like the first chapter and it's them meeting at a coffee shop and him being like, oh my god, she's so attractive. I haven't seen her before. She must not be from here. And she accidentally drops her underwear and he picks it up. And she's like, finders keepers. Hello guys, it's a couple hours later. I got this far into the book. I was eating chocolate and then I got some on the book and now it won't come out. Whatever. I got to chapter 13, page 139, and I'm loving it so far. Our two main characters, Willa, I knew I was gonna love her from the very first chapter, and she's just this like young, free-spirited, youthful soul. I don't know, she's very playful. I love that about her. She's very sarcastic, and Cade is like just the grumpiest of the crowd. Willa is 25 years old and Cade is 39, so there is a bit of an age gap, but I feel like it doesn't really matter at this point. They're both adults. I love the grumpy sunshine trope because Cade does eventually soften up to her, especially after that whole underwear situation. Like, that just became a running joke, a running inside joke between the two of them, and I just love that. There's times where Willa jokes and definitely gets Cade and he like softened up and he like flashes a smile or laughs, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so rare. But there is definitely like tension and chemistry between them. I love the banter between them. It's like grumpy mean at first, but then it developed into like flirty, playful, sarcastic banter, and I love that. I just love it. I'm loving it so far. The kid, Luke, he's 5 years old, and I don't think I've read a book with a kid in it. I don't know if I have. I forget. But I'm not usually a big fan of them, but this kid's actually good. Like, he's so witty and smart and funny, and because he grew up with the crowd that he grew up with, like all of Cade's brothers, especially the grandpa, he's just so funny. Like, he's growing up around good people, and I don't mind him being in the book. He actually adds on to the atmosphere of the book. It's just so funny because he's a 5-year-old and he doesn't think before he speaks, and they came across a local woman who's like, what are you doing with this woman? Is she trying to kidnap you? And Willa's like, no, like, I'm the new nanny. And she was like, oh, I applied for that job, and yeah, my father would rather roll around in manure than hire you. And I was like, that's so funny. Anyways, I'm gonna keep reading and then I'll update you guys later on when things progress between them. Oh, that didn't flow. is now 2 days later, Saturday. I did not film Friday and Thursday. I wanted to. I did get some like little clips of me reading, but I didn't film because I was so busy. I basically go to work at 8, finish at 8 p.m. and then get back home, and then I would usually just like read a little bit before bed and then go back to sleep, wake up the next morning, go back at 8. So I didn't have much time to like really film or read. So let me see, I wrote down the amount of pages I read those 2 days, and on Thursday I read a whopping 52 pages, and yesterday, Friday, I read 77. And this morning I read the rest of Heartless, which was like 50-ish pages, and ended up finishing the book. I'm sorry I didn't get any of my reactions to this book. Most of the time I was on shift or like before bed where I didn't feel like picking up the camera, and this book, oh my god, it was so good. I think I like it way better than Flawless. Cade Eaton. He was making me blush a lot and giggling, kicking my feet. He was making me so giddy. I love him. I knew from the day I picked up Flawless and I read about Cade, about being the older grumpy brother that doesn't say much, like he's the quiet type, that I was gonna love him. He's the older brother, so when his mother died, he had to take on lots of responsibilities at a young age and didn't really experience like the typical things that a teenager would experience, like first love and like, you know, having fun, fooling around. And I liked that he got that with Willa because she's a lot younger. I love that about him. He's such, I don't know, there's so many words to describe him. An alpha male, takes control, protects the hell out of Willa. He's hot, he's steamy, he's, yeah, territorial, protective. He's grumpy, he's big, he's tall, he's muscular. Like Willa has described so much in this book. He's also sweet, soft, and loving, caring, and an acts of service type of guy. I just love it. Everything about him and Willa I love. And there was a plot twist near like the end, maybe the last 15% of the book, and I was like, are you guys kidding? And all he can respond to that was, why is there a carrot in your purse? And I'm like, this man is in total shock. And from then on there was a little conflict, but they resolved it. I love their love story because they don't let it get complicated. They don't let it like just sit there and just run away from each other. They confront it. And yeah, they talk about it right there and then, and I just love that. So this is definitely a 5 stars. I did end up starting a new book this morning, and I wanted to switch gears a little bit because I've been like reading romance, and I decided to pick up one of Christine Hanna's books. I had 3 on my TBR cart, so I picked the one that I've had the longest, and that is The Four Winds. I don't really know what this is about. I've read like the first 3 pages, and I read about this girl named Elsa, and she's being like shunted from society or like sheltered at home. Her parents are embarrassed of her because she's like 6 feet tall. Oh my god, he's calling. I'm just gonna finish what I need to say. I'll come back. Apparently, like, she's an embarrassment to the family because she's not the best looking. She's skinny, she's tall. I think I read like she's almost 6 feet tall, and she's just like very unmarriable because I think this takes place in Texas in 1921. Yeah, she's 25. All her sisters got married because they're all so pretty and petite, and she's just this like tall, lanky girl that no one wants to marry. So that's what I know so far. Hello guys, I literally have 4 minutes until I have to leave to go to work, and I have to give you guys this update because I feel like I'm gonna forget. Anyways, I got this far into the book, page 149, chapter 13, and it's been so sad. So this book is about like our female main character, Elsa. Like I said, is like shunned by her family. Her family's embarrassed of her, ashamed of her because she's too ugly to be married off and be of use. So she decides to rebel, and one night when this young 18-year-old guy named Raph shows her a little bit of interest and ends up, you know, loving her, she like falls head over heels and like goes all in and ends up getting pregnant. So her father ends up dropping her off there and just owning her and was like, she's your problem now. I don't want anything with her or her child or your son. She ends up having 2 more kids after the first one. She had a daughter and then she had 2 more sons after that, but then she had a stillbirth for the second one, so that was really sad. And then a few years later, the drought happens and nothing is growing, everyone is panicking, everyone's just surviving because, you know, no crops, no money, no food. Yeah, everyone's just struggling to survive, and a lot of people are going west to California to find jobs. They were thinking about that, but they're like, no, that's a lot to put her kids through. And then the next day, Raph left them. Like, their marriage was falling apart from the very beginning. They were not really in love, and it just felt like Raph saw her as a burden because once she came into his life, like, all his dreams and everything he wanted to do was just out the window because he needed to be a father. So that's what happened, and she ends up staying with Rose, the mom, and Tony, the dad, Raph's parents, and oh my god, I just love them. They're like so good. They support her and encourage her to keep going for her kids. And now she's faced with this choice, either to fight for the land that she loves because it's the first place she ever belonged in, and the first place where people like appreciated her and made her feel like she was at home and loved and cared and cherished for, not like her parents, or to go west and potentially go after her husband and find a better life for her children. So that's what's happening right now. I hate Raph. He was giving red flags from the very beginning. I just was like, something's icky about this guy. And then it ended up being true. So, lesson of the story, trust your gut. Anyways, it's 7:30. I have to go. I have work in 30 minutes. So I will see you guys there. I don't know if I'm going to bring this because I feel like it's going to be really sad. I have some predictions of what might happen. So, yeah, I'm going to bring another book to work. I'll probably bring my Kindle and you'll see what I'll read there. So, I'll see you later. Hello guys, it is now Monday. I'm so bad at like updating and filming throughout this whole week just because I was busy. Saturday and Sunday were my 2 night shifts, so I didn't have much time to really get in front of the camera and talk. I was just sleeping throughout the day and staying up all night. But as you saw in the previous clips, I was in the middle of 2 books, and those books were these 2. The 4 Winds by Christine Hanna and Nora Goes Off Script by Annabelle Monaghan. I was in the middle of 2 because I didn't want to take this into work and read it and cry at my workplace, because at night I get more emotional, especially if I'm reading a sad book, and this was a really sad book. And this was a quick, fast-paced, like fun romance, and I loved reading this at work. But before I talk about this, I'm gonna talk about this book. I finished this book yesterday. This, as I mentioned, was about the Great Depression, and I was depressed reading this whole book, but I could not put it down. There's so many interesting things that were happening. Elsa, our female main character, and her daughter Loretta and her younger son Ant did end up going to California to seek a better life, but when they got there, things weren't looking too good. It was just as bad as Texas. There were thousands and thousands of people going into California, escaping wherever they were because California had water, had rain, and, you know, had food. And since all this was happening, their kind, or whatever, their people who were, you know, running away from home because of like the conditions there were unlivable, they were segregated, discriminated, and judged. No one wanted to house them. No one wanted to give them jobs, so they had to live in this camp where they're stuffed in this little piece of land, and there's no running water, there is no food, and people were dying left and right because of diseases from the dirty water they had access to, and just starvation and sickness. Since no one wanted to pay them to work, they had to find jobs that were very hard labor. But the thing that I liked about this book is that even though they're facing all these struggles and challenges in their life, they all come together and, you know, be there for each other. Elsa met a lot of like women that ended up being her friends, and they ended up supporting each other. One family didn't have much, the other family would share, and That was just so sweet. One example of that was during Christmas, I believe. Despite everything wrong going on in their lives, they put that aside and gathered together, played music, danced, and just were living in the moment. And you know, gathered up all the little pieces and scraps of food that they had to provide themselves and their children a Christmas dinner. All they had was each other and hope for a better future. Christine Hanna, I listened to an interview she had, and she said that after the Nightingale, she wanted to write a book similar to that, but taking place in America. And that's why she based it around the Great Depression, the dust storms. The thing I like about her books is that when she does research, she actually puts herself in that environment, and she puts that at the end of the book. Like, she has pictures. She actually went to go visit some of these places, which inspired the places in her books. One particular one that like caught my attention was just so sad. Like, this whole situation that happened in our history is just so sad. All those people that were in that time in our history experience exact same thing that Elsa's family experienced in this book, and probably worse. There's so many untold stories about history. That's why I've been loving Christine Hanna, because it focuses on women's experiences and struggles in history, because you know, we only talk about men. Yeah, these pictures, these are some pictures of like the cabins that some people lived in, like some people who were fortunate enough to get into there. I think I'm gonna give this a 4 stars. It was a little bit slower at the beginning. It was hard for me to kind of keep reading, but once I got to like maybe a third in, that's where I was like, yeah, I'm focused, you have my attention, I'm here. And this book, I'm pretty sure you know what this book is about. It's very popular. It's about the screenwriter named Nora. Her husband ends up leaving her and her kids. She ends up writing a screenplay about her life, marriage, and essentially their split or their divorce, and they end up filming at her house. And Leo Vance, the actor that plays her husband in her screenplay, she ends up falling in love with him, and it's just like a whole thing, and I loved it. Yeah, I love this. It was very fast-paced, it was really short, and it kept me entertained during the slow times on my night shift when everyone else is sleeping. And I rate it a 4 stars as well. I do have the stats. I'm gonna put the stats up on the screen. Monday, I ended up reading 136 pages of Hello Stranger. Tuesday, 184 pages of Hello Stranger. Wednesday, 231 pages of Heartless. Thursday, this is when I started my day shifts, I read 52 pages. Friday, 77 pages. Those were really, really busy days. Saturday, I read 141 pages of The Four Winds and 70 pages of Nora Goes Off Script. Sunday, I read 105 pages of The Four Winds, 134 pages of Nora Goes Off Script, and then that brings the total to 1,130 pages for this whole week. I usually read a lot more than that. Maybe I can read that in 2 to 3 days. This was a fun experiment. These were all the books that I read in this video. I can't believe I've gone through 4 books in the span of like a week and a little bit. I'm still so surprised. If you're still here at this point of the video, comment the weed emoji because of The Four Winds. And thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys have the greatest day ever, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.